friends, we are going to look at the island of Trinidad. It's an island in the Caribbean in the southern part, very near to Venezuela. We're starting in the capital city of Port of Spain. We're going down this highway which leads all the way to south, and we're going to stop around the C3 Center, which is a mall in St. Madeleine. There is a road that you can take to access. That's it there. Then we'll go to the Manahambre Road, which will pass by a golf course and a pond. And following that road, that will take us all the way to Princess Town, which would be the final destination of part 1 of this video. Now, this is Port of Spain here, and you're probably wondering, why am I going so fast? Well, you know, I have so many videos of Port of Spain, and it's not really necessary for me to have this drawn out drive, I should call it, on the highway. You know, it's not anything really scenic, and it's not that you haven't seen many other videos with Port of Spain and these highway scenes. So rather than bore you with more footage of that, I'm speeding it up, and you can see the timeline on the top right. It takes around from Port of Spain to Princess Town might take you maybe around 45 minutes to an hour to get there. A lot of that has to do with factors of the weather, traffic, things like that. So that's about the average time, but this is what the journey is like. And make sure to also look for other videos on JB's Man Cave. A lot of people say, oh, you should record this or that, and many times I've already recorded it. Sometimes it's a bit hard to search for stuff on a channel. I find it is, at least in my opinion, using YouTube. I'm accustomed to using forums and bulletin boards where it's really easy to find specific things, but when it comes to videos, sometimes it's really hard to find the content that you need, because, you know, a video could contain many things, and you know, for instance, you may go to a certain area, but that area may encompass other areas that you may be looking for. But if the title is just one name, then it'll be hard for you to find it. Anyway, if you're ever having trouble finding anything, just place your comments and I will link you up. So I've slowed down here because we are now in south. You can see the San Fernando hill. It's just on the right there. We just passed it, and this is the turn off for San Fernando. There's an earlier turn off too, where you could get to Princess Town from that. And I do have a video for that as well that you can look for, where I make a trip to Princess Town via those old roads. But we're going to stay on the highway today, because this for me is the fastest way to get to Princess Town, to avoid the most traffic and to avoid the worst of the roads. Others may have various opinions about that. For me, really, there should be some sort of highway access to Princess Town. It's a major town, and it should be more accessible from this highway. But really, there isn't like a straight road that takes you to Princess Town. It's all these winding roads and stuff. For instance, in going here on this highway, I am actually passing Princess Town. You know, if I was to look at it on a map, I'm going further south. So I'm really going further south in order to come back up north, in order to meet Princess Town. But that's what you have to do in order to avoid a lot of traffic, a lot of bad roads. If you see my other video where I take another road to get to Princess Town from that turn off, you'll see what I mean. For me, this is the fastest way really to get there. If you know other ways, feel free to chime in. But until then, I hope that one day we can see some sort of highway or turn off that takes you quickly to Princess Town. Now, this turnoff in particular would normally is very famous for taking people to the C3 Center, which is a mall. You'd turn right there. You'd also turn right if you want to go back to San Fernando, but we're turning left. Passing a secondary school on the right. If any of you have gone there, feel free to let us know. Now, these days have been sunny. We are in the dry season now, officially. I mean, you might still get periodic blast of rain or whatever, or maybe just simply drizzle. But it's a nice day in that there isn't much Saharan dust, if any at all. So you could see far into the distance. There isn't this haze that has been affecting a lot of my video footage over the past months. And because it's a nice clear day, we were able to get some really good stuff on camera. This video trip is part of a wider trip going all the way to Moruga, actually. But like the long trips that maybe if you have seen my trips to Toko and Matlot and so, I had to break it up into 4 parts because there's so much to see and it would take forever to reach. So in this video, part 1, this will take us from Port of Spain, which you already saw, all the way to Princess Town. And then the other one will be Princess Town to Moruga and so forth and so on as we go along. Now you might think the roads here are bad, but they're actually pretty good compared to other roads that would be necessary to take in order to get to Princess Town. The roads in the south are not known to be the best, but that's kind of like how the whole country is right now. You just have to be patient and be patient with drivers who may just stop in the middle of the road and block your access and so forth. Now, in continuing to this road, one stop I will make is stop by the Usine Ste Madeleine Pond. And I released a video for that already. If you haven't seen it, make sure to look for it. Now, we're turning onto the Manahambre Road. And following this road will take us all the way to Princess Town. And it's a long road, huh? Lots of twists and turns and potholes to avoid and so forth. But if you have lived in this area, this would be of interest to you. Maybe you lived in one of the houses on the left or the right, or passed through here or walked through here. You know, sometimes you could make a video just showing the main road, but then there are a lot of these arteries and side streets that also need to be covered. It's really difficult to cover it all. But this more or less would be considered St. Madeleine. Some of the history of it is based on Mary Madeleine, an estate owner of, I believe, French heritage, who had a sugar factory here, and then it was eventually sold and closed down. But part of what went on into the making of that sugar factory is part of what shapes the history of this area. That's the police station on the right. If you ever hear a rooster in the background, that's because I have some very strange neighbors who decided that they are going to have roosters as pets. Yep. It's not weird. I mean, I'm a vegan. I like all animals. I don't eat animals. I believe in preserving animals and helping animals. However, I particularly don't care much for chickens. Mostly because of the sound. Sometimes I'm trying to record and they can be really boisterous. I mean, really loud. I don't know if you've ever been around chickens, but when they make their sound, and by the way, when chickens sound off to other chickens and you hear them going in like a loop, that's one chicken telling the other chicken how good his life is. I'm not joking. You could go and research on Google or whatever to find out why chickens make those loud songs to each other. But it's very annoying when you're trying to record. So this is the pond here on the right, and it's just beautiful. It used to be covered with lilies, as I understand it, and then through a project of certain good people in the area who come here to worship and do other things, they were able to clean it up. There's this turnoff, and as you notice, there's nobody here. So you could consider this a good place in addition to, if you are Hindu, maybe using it as a sacred site, but also to just simply stop and relax and reflect, eat something or whatever. There's a tree here for shade. Now again, I created a video for this, and you can look at it where I cover it in even better resolution. That flag on the left there, that's a Hindu flag, and I'm just turning around. And that's the whole pond there. To me, it looks like a lake. I mean, I wouldn't have called that a pond, but that's the official name of it. When we left there, we decided to go to the golf course to get a better angle. This is the turn off to the actual golf course. And as usual, all the people in South, they're so friendly, they're so welcoming. The guy here welcomed us in. Said, sure, you could come and take footage. You know, if sometimes I am up north and trying to get a place, and people go through so much red tape and they're watching you and they're not sure if you should. And I mean, come on, I am giving you footage for free. What's the big deal? So we recorded there, and again, I have a video specifically on covering that. If you're not familiar with JB's Man Cave, what I normally do is on these road trips, I record just being on the road as one video and the stops as other videos, because the stops deserve their own video footage. So now that we covered the pond and a bit of the golf course which showed the pond, we're back on Manahambre Road and we're continuing towards Princestown. And you can see how the roads are. And like I said, you may think this is really bad, but this is a lot better than the alternative roads to get to Princestown. So for me, this is actually a better way to get to Princestown. But again, like I said, if you find you know a better way, feel free to chime in the comments area. Why I like this way too is because unlike the other ways, which is more built up areas, here's a little more green, a little more scenic. Like I said, you get to see the pond and that type of thing. The other ways is more, you know, you're passing through some residential and commercial areas, a lot of traffic and so that. I mean, you will encounter this on this road going towards Princestown, but not as much. And while we're here, make sure that you're subscribed, because you know a lot of people might you might come here and they're not really familiar with JB's Man Cave, or they've never heard of it, and they forget to subscribe. Subscribing is free. All you need is a Gmail account and you just hit that subscribe button. And you can also hit the notification bell, because when you hit the subscribe button, YouTube, it's up to YouTube to really let you know when I have a new video. But if you hit the notification bell, which is the little bell next to the subscribe button, that for sure will let you know every time I upload a video. And I upload videos every day. Now it used to be that I would upload long videos every day, but that's very time consuming, so sometimes I upload shorts. Now, if you notice, it kind of went into a Y. If I had turned right instead of this path, which is left, this path left is taking us to Princestown. If I went right, that would take us more towards Mayaro or that area if I wanted to go there, or alternative routes further south. But that's not where we're going today. We're going to Princestown. And by the way, in case you don't know, it's not Princess Town, it's Prince's Town. Princes as in two males, two princes. If you want to know the history of that, you can look at my Princestown video where I talk about the history of Princestown and why it is named that. And you can get a full walkthrough of Princestown. This is just the trip towards Princestown. Now, if you are not familiar with the Caribbean or Trinidad, I can tell you that what you're seeing now, the look of it, the houses and so forth, this is the typical look of Trinidad and so forth, especially in the south where it's more hilly. The houses tend to be built towards the road and at a drop. So they're very close to the road. And this guy here, he's carrying crates of, I'm not sure what, grapes or whatever it is, and that's pretty tall. Seems to be handling his stories very, very well, but at the same time driving very slow. Which I guess for some of you is good because some of you will tell me, oh, slow down so I could see the place well. I can only drive so slow on a public road. And in addition to that, I don't know if you know, but YouTube has the facility where you can adjust the speed of the video. So if you feel that you need to see it slower, you can always adjust that. Anyway, so as I was saying, these are the typical looks of houses, and you will notice there's a variance. One house does not look anything like the next house to it. So people build at their time, their speed, their look, and so forth. There is regulation. It's a place called Town and Country Planning where they're supposed to supervise the building and the architecture of various buildings. But to be honest, most people here just put up what they need to do. And even if they put up something according to blueprints, they will always keep attaching to it later on. Now, you're supposed to bring the town and country planning up to speed with whatever changes or augments or modifications you made to your property, but most people don't do that, and neither do they really enforce it. So people just put up whatever and keep building and building and building right up to the road. Now, something you may also notice is our residential areas, and that's on the left there, by the way, is a place where people meet to have, I don't know, dances, meetings, festivals, whatever have you. Another day I'll capture that. If you know of more things that are carried on that, feel free to chime in the comments area. Yeah, so back to the way it looks. Most people will build their house, and then sometimes, like if it's two-story, on the top they will live in their residence, and below they will have a commercial side, their business, or rent it out. So a lot of times that's what happens, or you could have a residence and next to it a commercial property. The pros and cons of that is that, one pro is that, if you feel like you need an extra income or you want to make it your income, your home can be your property, so you don't have to have, another business place to worry about or another property somewhere else. You can live there at the same time. But the con to it is that, you could have your house trying to make it a peaceful area. Next to you is a tire shop, which can be really loud, or something, a bar or whatever, and that could be a nuisance to your peaceable living. And the thing is, houses in Trinidad, decades ago, if you said a house was $1 million, people would be like, what? No way. But now, even the areas that you don't expect, a house is $1 million and more dollars. In fact, $1 million is considered cheap. So gone are the days where housing is affordable, and a lot of people just try to do their own thing in order to achieve what they need to, and to have their own residence and their own home. Now, if you saw me slow down there, that's because sometimes I like to verify where I am and how far I am from a certain place, just to make sure I'm on the right track. As Crystal View on the left. Anybody knows what I would see there if I went there? Feel free to comment in the comments area. And when you're doing that, as I always have to repeat, please place a timeline in the video. This is what a timeline looks like. Basically, it's 0 colon 00 colon 00, and the first one is the hours, then the minutes, then the seconds, just like a stopwatch. But when you put any number of the video where it's at, that helps us to go right to that footage that you're talking about. But when you just put, oh, that's the whatever street, or oh, that's what the building, I mean, really, we can't know what you're talking about in a, let's say, an hour-long video. So you really need to be specific. So again, you see where, for instance, you have commercial properties on your right, a house, a commercial property again, a dual property where you have commercial and residence, you know, and so forth. And you know, I don't know if you have an adventurous spirit, but you know, if you're from one area and you've never been to another area of Trinidad, it's always good to drive around and see what it's like, how other people carry on in their areas. Fuel is so expensive now, so I know that may not be something, but you could always go for a walk if you're nearby. So this on the right here is an excavator digging up, and this is probably WASA or a contractor for WASA digging up. But oftentimes I've said this: if you're gonna do that, you need to have the police here or somebody to direct traffic. So you know, where the impasse I can't pass. Luckily, as I have a truck, it's easier for me to go up on the pavement or sidewalk and come back down. You know, that's what this truck is built for. But if not, you know, you need to have somebody directing traffic. You can't just start digging up the road and then expect drivers to figure out how to get around and stuff. That again is something common here. Sometimes you just have to, as they say abroad, wing it. Here it might be ratchet. This road particularly is bad. Again, still not as bad as alternative routes to Princestown. Now, as we have come here, right here, this would take us to the Naparima Mayaro Rd. Was left and right. If I went left, that would take me back to San Fernando in that area. We're going to take it right, and here we are in Princestown. Now again, a reminder, I have a full walkthrough of this area, and I have additional videos where I took footage driving through Princestown. And what's different about this video to the other videos I have of Princestown? Well, the other videos of Princestown, I was just driving to Mayaro, so I'm passing through Princestown to accomplish that. Then the other video is a walkthrough of Princestown, and this video is me on my way to record that walkthrough, and so I'm going a bit slow. Now, as you can see, lots of traffic. And on JB's Man Cave, in case you don't know, I do not edit stuff. I leave it just as it is so you can get a feel of what Princestown is like. You know, if you're thinking of living in Princestown or whatever, this is the kind of traffic you would have to deal with just to get from point A to point B. Now there may be back roads. I don't know all the back roads, so maybe there's a faster way to avoid this main center, these main roads. But other than that, this is what you would have to deal with. Princestown is a busy area, especially as the closer you get to what is called the triangle, which is the mini promenade. It gets more and more congested. Some days is not as bad as this, but you can always expect traffic. Now parking is an issue too. Really, I'm looking for parking, and I didn't realize on the left there, just before this mall, there is a parking place um, that I could have gone, but no. Funny enough, nobody signaled to me that there is parking there. So they keep saying, oh, go right, go right. So I go on the right here, and I try to get parking, but guess what? There's no parking. It's absolutely full. And because it's absolutely full, I have to kind of speed up the video because trying to just turn around was an issue. You can see one vehicle turning around, and then I had to turn around um, in order to get back to the main road. And people were blocking and all that sort of stuff, so it took quite a while to accomplish that. So we're back on the Naparima Mayaro Road. This would be heading towards the east. And you can see the immense amount of traffic. You make like a foot or two every 15 seconds. And sometimes you may be in the same spot for up to a minute, just waiting in the hot sun. Those vehicles on the left, those are called maxi taxis. You see the black band around them that designates the kinds of or the areas that they go to, the locations. Depending on which part of Trinidad or Tobago you're from, the colors vary. So it might be black, brown, purple, blue, red, yellow. They have all different kinds of colors for the taxi service here. That is where it concerns those vans. The cars are different. The cars can look like regular vehicles, and in order to know if they are for hire, usually you have to look at their license plate. But that doesn't stop private car owners who are not registered taxis from also trying to act as a car for hire. There's a potential risk when you do that. So if you're not from Trinidad, I would avoid P cars as much as you can. See, like this silver car on the left, he is driving an H vehicle. So when he turns in front of me, you will see that his license plate has an H on it. See? So that designates him as a taxi. Same as the one on the left, the white. That's a taxi stand. And that's different from, let's say, the vehicle on your right, which is just a commercial vehicle. By the way, that's the Princestown police station on your left. So if you look at the license plates of these vehicles, it's just T, it's just P. Those are all private vehicles. But like most Caribbean islands, I guess things are done a little different. People try to squeeze out incomes anyhow they can. For me, they should adopt, have it proper, a color coded system for taxis, just like the maxis, so that you can easily identify a vehicle that's a taxi. And I don't know why they haven't implemented that here, but they should. Especially since a lot of these taxis are parts of associations of different places. So when you are each vehicle, sometimes you have to drive in a certain area. You can't just go anywhere and pick up people. I mean, you can, but most vehicles are attached to a certain area and are allowed to park up in a certain area and so forth. So this is be the most central part of Princestown, and as you can see, it's getting more busy. People are crossing the roads, and when we're at a standstill like this, I actually have videos like this. You can pick up a lot more of life in Princestown by seeing it when you're at a standstill than when you're on the move. So this allows you to see what it's like to be in Princestown and just how much traffic there is. As you can see, it is not easy driving here. Basically, you have to wait in line just to go from point A to point B. Now, something to consider too that as locals would be, normal or regular for us, but for foreigners is unique, is the way people dress. I often see foreigners come down here from abroad, from North America or Europe, and they tend to dress in shorts, light tops, a lot of skin showing, sandals and whatnot, because for them it's so hot. But for us, the heat is normal, and we wear full garb, jeans, lots of clothes that you would think was always too hot. But people here are a little more conservative than abroad, at least in my opinion. A person on the left there is a traffic warden, by the way. That's a new member of or I mean, they've been around for a few years, but maybe new for you if you've lived abroad for a long time. They are a new member of the services, police services. They're not actually police, but they assist the police in seeing about vehicles, traffic, ticketing, and so forth. They don't have any powers of arrest or anything, but for me, there should be lots more of them on the road. You only see them when you go into a built-up area and only in certain hours. Ahead on the left there where you see that Christmas tree, which gives you a hint of the time of year when I recorded this. That's the triangle. It's like the Princestown's mini promenade. And sometimes we'll use the area for events or put up a tent and sell something or whatever if they have permission. That triangle has been here forever. I mean, I can't say it's a new thing. It's also what's iconic to Princestown as well. That is the bus service, the public bus service on the right. That's how it looks. That would be the bus that travels on the normal main roads, public roads. There's another bus that travels on the highway, which is even bigger than that one and a lot taller. So a lot of people put up these tents, stalls, and they sell various things, clothes, shoes, snacks, local snacks that is, made of things like mango, prunes, something we have called tambourine ball, which is kind of a sweet and sour treat. On the right there, that's Standards, that's a place where you sell furniture. And some things look the same throughout the years and others not. But one thing that I find was unique to my visit here is the streets are relatively clean as compared to Port of Spain, which is good. You find that it could be a lot more dirty. I mean, it's not perfect, huh? I'm not saying it's immaculate, but it's a lot cleaner than what you see in other areas. So hats off to the maintenance of, I guess it's the Princestown Corporation or whomever sees to the maintenance of this town. Yeah, so some things look the same and others look different. But one thing that definitely needs to change here is all these wires overhead. I mean, with the advent of cable, internet, and stuff, it's just gotten worse. Before, you would just see these electricity poles being used for nothing else but electricity and maybe a phone line, and so it wasn't so bad. But now, with the advent of internet, cable, various other things, people are just mounting more and more and more wires to the point that it's become unsightly. I mean, just picture this scene, for instance, without all these wires. It would be way different. I also think that more needs to be done with regards to the upkeep of basic infrastructure so everything looks more pleasant. Sidewalk pavements could use a turnover, put more plants, more trees, make the place look inviting, not so full of concrete or drama. I mean, you hardly seen a tree anywhere, right? And we're in the Caribbean. Now you might think, well, oh, this is not a tourist destination, but why not? I'm sure there are things in Princeton that people would like to see. In a way, I am a tourist coming down here because I'm not from Princeton. I mean, I've passed through here a few times, but when I come down here, it's like coming to a new country because everything is new to me, more or less. And so you can't just think of foreigners from abroad, but locals can also be foreigners or foreign visitors to your locality. And they may want to see what's interesting here, and they might like to invest in here or live here or whatever if it's inviting to do so. But so much of life in Trinidad and Tobago is more or less, whatever kind of mentality. There isn't a aim for a standard of perfection, but again, trying to wing it, just get by kind of attitude. And unfortunately, it's reflective in the overall look of places. And that's anywhere in Trinidad. That's not unique to Princess Town. One thing you have to give religious places is they do well in maintaining their own structure. Of course, they have a charitable structure that allows them to gain money from their members to do so. But then we pay taxes, so the government should also do so as well. Like you see that mosque on your right there. I mean, I know you might want to see that, but again, you can check my walkthrough of Princess Town to see it better. So we're leaving Princess Town proper and continuing. And as we are doing so, that's the fire station on your right. I'm kind of driving around looking for a place to park. That's the library on your right too. Those two towers there. When I first saw that, I thought that was a mosque. Well, it looks like a mosque. I mean, the whole design, the architecture, everything, but it's used as a library. So, if you're ever looking for free parking, you could turn on the street and eventually you'll be able to make another right, which would be Charlotte Street. Yes, just like the Charlotte Street in Port of Spain, but we're in Princess Town. And on that street, you'll be able to get some free parking, if there is free parking. But it's hilly, so make sure you have good brakes. Hand brakes, foot brakes. So this here, where we turn here, this is Charlotte Street. And gives you an idea of just how hilly the south is. And all this parking on the left there, this is free parking. You can see by the big P on the left there. I was trying to find a park, and I was really glad to find a park that where I wouldn't have had to walk up this hill. You'll see it just now. So you see right there on the P, I was able to park right there. And I made my walk around, and now we leave. That building on your right, they use for different businesses and so forth. and it's sort of an iconic building, a landmark. So if I turn left, that would have taken us back to the triangle, and taking right takes us further east. This is the Naparima Mayaro Road, and this road would also lead us to where we would eventually want to go, which is Moruga. But this is just part one of this road trip, and again, you can't escape the traffic. As I mentioned before, there are many different roads that you could take to get where you're going, right? But not all of them have the most scenic route or the best route or whatever. And some of them take you through forest or whatever. You have to decide really how you want to go. If you're not familiar, you could end up lost and driving for hours. Always go with somebody or follow somebody who knows where they're going. So we passed here before because it's one big loop. And in order to get back onto the Naparima Road, I have to come back here and continue. So that's where we would have turned right when I was looking for the parking, but instead of turning right, we go straight. Now in this part of the video, I'm looking for somewhere to eat. Somebody told us go to Wizards, and I talk about that in the walkthrough. But there are other places. I don't really eat much outside food, and I don't eat any animals, so it's sort of limited in a way what I look for, what I eat. Health is a very big concern for me. I like to maintain my health, especially because of my challenges in life. I like to make sure that being ill or being sick is not one of the things I have to contend with. Now, in looking for a place, I decided, oh, let's see what's going on. Let me turn around here, and I believe this would have taken you to St. Stephen's, which I do not follow, because really today I wasn't about side streets. So I'm just turning around. By the way, so if you like what I do, make sure to visit jboard.com or jbmancave.com and donate. There are options to donate on YouTube, but YouTube takes a huge percentage of that. If you go to my sites to donate, you can use PayPal, you can use your Visa card, and that ensures that I get most of the donation. I mean, those places still take out their fees or whatever, but I get most of it. If you use YouTube, I hardly get anything. And I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. Make sure to comment, like, and share.